You know, folks, we have never seen a politician play politics with the states the way that Donald Trump has, and he does it to create his political theater. Back when the fires was raging in California, he had to find a way to turn that into a political stunt. And so he began threatening to withhold aid from California unless they met his demands. And he took a chance to start calling Gavin Newsom Gavin Newscom again and get MAGA outraged at California. Even though he does have supporters and voters in California, he was willing to sit there and let it burn to the ground just to have his political theater. And his crowd loves that kind of thing. They love seeing him govern like a reality show host or like a heel on WWE cutting a promo. But Trump is always going to be there in any moment he can to cash in on political theater. And he's been doing this for a long time. Back years ago, he came to West Virginia and he put on a hard hat and he gave a thumbs up and he stood there in front of the coal miners and gave his thumbs up with a coal mining hat on. And everybody cheered. And it made me sick to my stomach because I couldn't believe that people in my part of the world were falling for such a grifter. Was falling for someone who did not have our best interest at heart at all. He was simply doing a political stunt when coal was the hot topic and it was popular to do so. And I said back then, this guy's never faced the struggles we faced. He's never worked a hard day in his life. That was a slap in the face to our grandfathers and everyone who ever went underground to dig coal. But people stood back and cheered because they love the political theater. But I've been saying here on the channel for a long time that once Donald Trump doesn't need his followers anymore, he will throw them to the curb. Or in this case, with West Virginia, he waited 10 days before he responded to one of the worst floods that had hit the state since 1967. Why? Because he no longer needs them. Because there's no more political theater to be had there. He's too busy doing it in other corners of the world. He's too busy talking about making Canada the 51st state or taking back the Panama Canal or having red, white, and blue land. And so he completely went crickets on West Virginia when they were truly in need. Now, I'm going to read you an article here from MidasNews.com, but be sure to stick around in this video because in a few minutes, I'm going to play you a clip. I had Richard Ojeda on my podcast. Richard was a senator from West Virginia, grew up in West Virginia, and understands what it's like growing up there. He's now running for Congress down in North Carolina, but he's definitely a voice that our side needs. So I'm going to be playing a clip of him talking about this and talking about West Virginia in a second. But let's read this article real quick here from MidasNews.com, and this one was written by Troy Matthews. Trump delays 10 crucial days for West Virginia emergency declaration. West Virginians are outraged after Trump completely ignores flooding in their state. I'm not surprised. There may be Trump supporters out there who are just totally shocked by this one, but not me because we all saw this coming. So Donald Trump waited 10 days to issue a major emergency declaration for flooding in southern West Virginia as a result of recent storms. This despite West Virginia's all-Republican congressional delegation and the MAGA governor begging the administration for help. West Virginia Governor Patrick Morrisey requested an emergency declaration from the Trump administration on Monday, February 17th. When he got no response, the entire West Virginia congressional delegation, Republican Senators Shelley Moore and Jim Justice, and Republican House Representatives Carol Miller and Riley Moore, co-signed a letter in support of Morrisey's request. Despite Morrisey being in contact with FEMA officials, federal aid could not be released until a disaster declaration. Trump finally approved the governor's request on Wednesday, February 26, 10 days after he asked for it. Now, that delay could be catastrophic as it will take a good deal of time to reach remote, heavily affected areas in Mingo and McDowell counties. The flooding had already caused multiple fatalities, including small children. So much for them being the party that cares about the children. They don't, folks. Don't ever buy into that crap. Trump managed to approve disaster relief for Kentucky almost immediately, despite their governor being Democrat Andy Beshear. The same storm, different states. So this time, it isn't the political party of the governor that caused the delay in Trump's response, as it was in the California wildfires of 2017. Community members in the flooded counties from both parties have been left scratching their heads as to what took Trump so long. And I will be honest with you, I did say to a friend when the storms hit Kentucky, I said, I wonder if he's going to come up with a nickname for Andy. I wonder if he's going to pull this stunt with Andy Bashir. I don't think it would have got him very far because Andy's a fighter and would have came back with him as only he could do. But I'm surprised, really, if I'm being honest, I'm surprised that he immediately responded to Kentucky. But again, all those West Virginia coal miners that he used and grifted off of and used as a political stage prop when he had the opportunity, he turned a blind eye to their state now, and I think they really need to stop and pause and think about this one. But let's keep reading here just for a second. This comes after the fall hurricane season in which Trump and MAGA relentlessly attacked Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for their response to Hurricane Helene. Biden issued a major disaster declaration for North Carolina and California almost immediately after they were requested by the respective states. Former United States Attorney for the Southern District of West Virginia, Will Thompson, said in an exclusive interview with Midas Touch that after waiting and watching flood waters rise near his home, he became baffled and outraged that there had been no federal response for days. He said, "I have been flooded out before. Lived next to a river. I spent that night up all night watching the river. Fortunately, I did not get anything. But as the days ticked by with no federal help coming, finally he had had enough." Thompson posted on his social media, which is heavily followed by political figures and judges in the state, asking exactly what Trump was waiting for in issuing a disaster declaration for West Virginia when he was able to respond to Kentucky's request the very next day. So right here, Will Thompson post is February 15th. Kentucky Governor Andy Bashir asked for relief for disaster declaration. February 16th or February 15th, the governor asked. February 16th, Trump approved. February 17th, the West Virginia governor asked. February 21st, crickets from the White House. Thompson also posted this. He said, "It has been a week since the floods. I guess there are more important things to be done in Washington right now. Meanwhile, our fellow West Virginians are cold, hungry, and in need of help. Thank God we take care of our neighbors." And I'm going to stop right there because I really want to play this clip from Richard Ojeda. But that's it, folks. If you're in West Virginia or if you're in a state where Donald Trump can't get his political jabs in, then you're going to be left out in the cold, or you're going to be watching the waters rise and he's going to be over here doing some other form of political theater, because once he has used you and once he's got what he wanted from you, he said, "I don't care about you. I just need your vote." That's exactly what he's showing, and he especially showed it to West Virginia. He might as well have flipped him a bird during this one. But I want to show you this clip here now from Richard Ojeda, who grew up in West Virginia. He understands West Virginia, and he also understands exactly how Donald Trump used his state. Take a look.
But I'm going to tell you this. West Virginia, Eastern Kentucky was underwater 2 weeks ago. Let me tell you this. It took Donald Trump 2 weeks to even acknowledge that West Virginia was underwater. West Virginia went for Donald Trump more than any state. And literally, he sat silent while 2 weeks they went without. Let me tell you something. If a president does not declare an area a disaster zone, the people in that disaster zone can't contact and get anything from FEMA. So there's a lot of people absolutely that are pissed off right now in West Virginia because they went wholeheartedly for Donald Trump. And what was the thanks they got? They got to sit underwater for 2 weeks while he played golf and didn't even acknowledge their issues.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that stood out about that to me is I thought to myself, okay, when he could find a way to play politics with California, he did it. You know, it was like, okay, I'm going to hold aid and I'm going to, call him Gavin Newsom and do all the stuff that he done. With West Virginia, it was like he just completely forgot. Like he just completely let him go. Yeah. It was like, because there wasn't nothing there. He didn't have an opportunity to come cosplay as a coal miner this time. It was like there was nothing, he didn't need to. And I said that so many times in so many videos leading up to all this. I would say once he doesn't need people in our part of the world, he'll throw them to the curb. And I think that's just a classic case in point, because it's been like the worst flood in 30 years?
Yes. No, since 67. Since 1967. West Virginia, it's the worst flood since 1967. I mean, that's the thing, though, is Donald Trump uses you, and when he doesn't need you anymore, you're gone. If something happens to you and you fall down the ladder, he doesn't care about you anymore. I mean, look, he allowed Rudy Giuliani to destroy his legacy, basically stumping for Donald Trump. And now Rudy Giuliani's, got nothing. Is Donald Trump throwing him a bone? No, he doesn't care. because he has no more value. If Donald Trump doesn't look at you as something that he has value with, he doesn't need you. He turns you off.
Folks, he's spot on right there. And like I said earlier, once Donald Trump has used somebody, he's going to kick him to the curb. And it just truly disgusts me. And I got to be honest with you, I don't like sitting here talking about how right that I was. I don't like sitting here saying, I told you so to people I care about. I care about people in my part of the world, despite the fact they call me a traitor on a daily basis. I care about them. I want to see them all have a better way and a better life. And I'm tired of seeing them grifted by a billionaire and billionaires now, a whole billionaire cabinet now that don't give a flying damn about any of them. And so I don't like saying I told you so, but I warned forever. This guy's only putting on that coal mining hat. He's only parading around in front of West Virginia coal miners because now it's popular to do so. He's doing it as a stunt. And when they were no longer of any use to him, he turned a blind eye for 10 days. And it's funny because not only is it crickets from him, but I heard a lot of crickets from people that I grew up with. West Virginians were outraged. They were standing up screaming, what the hell's going on? Why ain't we getting help? But the people I grew up with were kind of being silent on that one. Because what could they say after sitting and criticizing Joe Biden, who, by the way, gave them the help immediately? It's just so disheartening to see this stuff come true. I don't like being the guy that said, I told you so, but we've tried to tell them for years, Donald Trump doesn't care about you. But before I go, I do want to remind you, Richard Ojeda is now down in North Carolina, and he's running for Congress in District 9. So if you go right here to Ojeda for Congress, you can donate to his campaign right there, folks. I really believe that we need more voices like this in North Carolina, West Virginia, all across this country. We need people who's willing to stand up and fight and not back down. We have to reshape the narrative. Donald Trump for years has twisted the narrative into making Democrats look weak. Democrats look like the scum of the earth. Democrats look like baby killers and all the ridiculous stuff that they throw our way. We can change that if we work hard to let people know that we're the ones on their side. We're the ones that have the ideas that's going to affect their lives in a more positive way. We're not here trying to play political theater with them. We're not here cosplaying as them. Someone like Richard Ojeda, he's not cosplaying, okay? This is not a guy who is cosplaying at all. Richard Ojeda, right here, it tells you, he is a retired Army Major combat veteran, former state senator, lifelong public servant, and a proud husband and father of two. Richard is running to flip North Carolina District 9 to fight for veterans and working families. This isn't someone that's cosplaying as a soldier, the way that George W. Bush did all those years ago. This isn't someone cosplaying as a soldier when you got Donald Trump who didn't go when it was his time to go. This is someone who's been, and this is someone who's one of us. He's fought for people like us, and these are the kind of voices we need. So be sure, if you can, to donate to his campaign and get involved in your state politics. Get involved in your local politics. Stuff starts at home. You got to work from here, and you got to go out. And we got to rise up, and the Democratic Party has got to take back the working class. They lost it, and it sucks to see them do it. It sucks to watch them lose the working class, but we can get it back if working class people will stand up and shine a light and say, hey, we're tired of this. We're tired of being grifted. We're tired of being used as political pawns. We're tired of being used as lab rats. That's what we have to stand up and say, because I've said this so many times, and again, I hate being right about it, but it has to sometimes hit Trump supporters before they realize what they were doing. And I just think that's sad. I think it sucks. I don't like that they have to hurt and suffer and cause innocent people to hurt and suffer before they finally wake up and go, gee, we got screwed. But that guy was never running. Donald Trump was never running for president to better anyone in West Virginia, anyone in Tennessee, North Carolina, I don't care where you're at. He was never running to better any of our lives. He was running for himself. And then he was like the dog that caught the car. And then he got in there and didn't know what the hell he was doing. And then he got voted out because he didn't know what the hell he was doing. And then he created a fiasco on January 6th and doubled and tripled and quadrupled down on all of his bullshit to the point that he got back in again. And now he's back with a bunch of loyalists surrounding him, people who are loyal to him, not you. This cabinet that he picked, they're not going to look over at West Virginia and go, wait a minute, we need to be loyal to the people of West Virginia. They're not going to say that. It's going to be, what would you like for us to do, King Trump? What do we do next? And if Trump stays silent, West Virginia could be floating. West Virginia could burn to the ground. And if Donald Trump is ignoring it, if he's over here playing politics, or he's over here humiliating us on the world stage in front of President Zelensky, that's what he'll do. And they'll sit there and lap it up like dogs. So do not think for 1 second that these people have your best interest at heart. They don't. They never have. They never will. Their loyalty is not to the people of West Virginia. They proved that. Their loyalty is to their king, Donald Trump.